Hello, everyone. I'm Nasira and I am the Energy Architect. I'm back again with another episode with a very dear friend and coach. Um, Today we have with us Gokul Raghunathan. Gokul, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me to the podcast. Very much looking forward to the conversation. And I'm very interested about the theme of the podcast as well. Not stealing your thunder already. Let's see.
Thank you, Gokul. Okay, I just want to give a small introduction about Gokul. Gokul actually brings with him this wealth of knowledge and this great expertise, how he blends the art of coaching with the science of the brain, and he helps individuals really unlock their full potential and achieve extraordinary results. And he has years of experience doing this. I know that, and he's extremely passionate about it. He's passionate about empowering people, and he has dedicated a lot of time in really developing this and really helping so many individuals getting unstuck. So join us today while we are going to explore this intersection of coaching and neuroscience. We're going to uncover valuable insights and practical strategies. All of these are, to help us really enhance our mental well-being, to optimize our performance, and to unleash the greatness that each of us has within. So I hope you guys are ready to get inspired, educated, and empowered by Gokul today. So Gokul is a behavioral scientist and he's an executive coach with an ICF in PCC and a talent and organizational development professional. He began as a psychologist and later transitioned into management. He received formal training in management and has worked in talent development, organizational development, and behavioral science consulting. As a coach, he leverages his expertise in psychology and his experience working with leaders and teams across 100 plus organizations. He's very humble, okay? You're going to see that through our conversation, but he has a body of work that I would be very happy if he could share that with us. He has designed impactful interventions for organizations in areas such as applied behavioral science, organizational development, and workplace well-being, positively impacting thousands of individuals. He has served as a guest faculty in behavioral science and leadership at a private university and a government management institute. His areas of interest include organizational development, science of well-being, mindfulness, human judgments, and decision-making, neurodiversity, and all aspects of behavioral science. Gokul, that's really like a vast body of, work that you have there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a vast body of interest that I have as a student is. Yeah.
Okay. So Gokul, some of the questions that I have are really starting from a point of self-reflection and exploration. What I really want is for viewers to get a deeper insight into their personalities, their abilities, and how they can really leverage them and utilize their these habits to really get more motivation so that they get unstuck in life. In terms of personality, so what, according to you, what would describe a personality, Gokul?
Ah, interesting question. Personality. I mean, I would, rather than going by what I think, I would go by what is generally the science of it as well says. Personality is anything that is, I mean, we define personality as permanent or enduring traits of behavior, I mean, characteristics and behaviors. And how do I adjust to my life in terms of, and major traits of life, values, my drive, my interest, my self concept about myself, all those things together. And if you've noticed, I mentioned at the start of the definition, enduring or permanent as well, which means it is sort of something that is, for long term. Can you change personality? Usually people ask this question right after. Can I change my personality? Maybe over time with life-changing events or over a period of time, yes. But otherwise, it stays for a long period of time. Yeah. So that's how I would define personality as.
Yeah, because I think that people also start believing that this is their personality and this is how they are, and they start responding to, it becomes like a learned pattern, like this is how I'm going to respond to things because this is how I am. But a lot of people don't have that awareness that you can actually, tweak these within us.
Yes, yes. What you said, I recently was reading a meme. I mean, if I could bring that here, where someone is saying, "Hey, this is how I am. I'm a Gemini, or I'm a Libra, and this is the way I am." If I say that, so something like that, I can also say about personality. Can I change the personality one day? Maybe not, but I can definitely make adjustments because I know this is what I am. Like if you do an assessment of your personality and you know, hey, this is how you function as a person, you could definitely make adjustments around it so that you can function in a place where it is required.
Right. And also, when we become mindful of things like this, our personalities, when there is that kind of reflection, I think we can also tweak this, to work things for our advantage. Because but then we start seeing the gaps that uh, maybe if we had this, or, maybe if I could respond to something in a certain way, that would help me that much more. And that's actually a tool, right?
It is. It is.
So how do you think one can really look at their strengths and their weaknesses and see as to, how they can create this path for themselves?
Okay. Let's talk about an example so that it is easy to understand. As you know, there are a lot of theories of personality over the years. There are a lot of assessments of personality as well. We know a lot of psychometricians. And each of them, in their own way, has their own virtues, the way they measure certain things as well, certain traits as well. Some of them, are a bit outdated, the way world we live in. Some of the famous ones are outdated right now. But if you look at one thing which is very old and which has still got a very good ground in theory as well, is big five factors. The one among the big five factors is conscientiousness, which is that how ordered you are, the goal-directed behavior, how structured you're a person. In very simple language, it is like, it can be low to high. So some of us can be very ordered. Let's take the example of planning a trip. You are going to, say, any, any location. You're going to Vietnam next month, 15. So some people, if the consciousness score is high, they would start planning from the first of the month before as well. And they have things, everything in mind. They know how to and when to book the tickets. They have a plan. Even if they have not booked, they have a plan of when am I going to book the tickets. They also have a plan of what am I going to carry. And all those things, they're very ordered, and they get disturbed when the order is not happening, when things are not happening. On the other side, if that score is low, then it is about working around it, right? And you can book the tickets and you will still get the tickets. Maybe you end up paying a little more. You can get the tickets. You will manage last minute packing as well. So, and then there's a question of, say, it's a complex topic. Then it's a question of skill as well, right? Something that you have learned over a period of time. Some people can manage to pack in very quickly in a day or two. Interesting thing is when these two people come together in a relationship or at a workplace. Say, for example, in a workplace scenario, if your manager has a very high consciousness score and you fall in a very low consciousness score, that can result in a little bit of conflict. For a manager, they may feel that they are at the end of a cliff, standing, and the deadline is arriving, while somebody with a low score may feel that they are still at the beach. Good evening. They don't feel that risk yet. They feel that, okay, I can manage. So that way, sometimes, this can manifest. If I talk about strengths and weaknesses with the language of personality, sometimes this can work well for you, whether it is low or high. So, and consciousness is one example. And another is emotional stability, or the actual word is neuroticism, wherein what is at one point it is about feeling very secured, calm, and poised as a person. You don't show your emotions. You can balance and manage it really well. On the other side, when it is low, the problem is I'm extremely emotional. I show up my emotions. I can't just hide them. It just comes in, and I get very stressed. I get very emotional as well. So these again two extremes. So these things will live with us. But the best thing is about awareness. Do you know what is the kind of self-awareness that you have? See, if I know this is where I am, I would plan accordingly. If I'm somebody who is planning a lot and getting too much of a structure, and I go to a holiday, and I know I don't want to do that sometimes. I want to chill. Then I should remind myself that, Gokul, this is not a work trip. You just go and chill. Do not plan so much. Do not think and worry a lot about these things. If I'm low on the score, I should probably remind myself that okay, this is going to cost you money if you don't buy tickets on time, and work around. Yeah, so that is one thing. If I don't know whether I have answered the question spot on,
Yes,
but
yes, you have. You have.
please repeat it.
Yeah, you have. In fact, there is also so much of judgment that is, passed. Um, when people don't really understand that, people are wired different, but it doesn't mean that they are not going to do it or that they don't have the capability or the capacity to do it. But it's just the way they are, and they will still get it done.
Absolutely. I don't know how many people realize what you just said. It is not just workplace, it is in a school, it is families, it is everywhere. Personality, look at it as something, the way that person is. And it is about you where you can handle a team of people who are different. If you look for, say, one thing one of my mentors told me early in my career is if you're a manager or if you're a leader, the biggest problem that can happen to you is when you think your best skill is that you're looking for in everyone. If somebody who's very well organized, extremely good at planning, and you look for that in everyone. And if somebody with a low in that area, you feel that that person is a bad person, which is not the right way of looking at it. You should see the diversity of people and look at them in such a way that how they are different and what do they bring to the table. Say on the other side, usually we can also actually say in this example, the other person could be a thinker. They can think much better than all the other four in the team. So you look for that person. And again, if I go back to your earlier question, the strength of that person, the strength-based coaching that we talk about, or strength-based assessments that we talk about, you look at that person. You don't look at what that person do not have. Forget the weakness, and you can't work on that. It is personality. It takes a lot of time. Instead, you look at what that person is actually doing well. You use them accordingly, and judgment based on these things is a big no. I mean, that happens when you don't really understand what it is, or the people who pass those judgments really don't understand what personality is, and you let people be. I mean, can you just look at that person as a person, let them be whatever they are, and then adjust with them accordingly? Then a relationship will grow. That is what I think.
Yeah. I also feel that leaders today have to really find that compassion within them and an open eye. And I think that awareness is slowly setting in now, how people function. Now they will realize that what so far as per the book has been called a weakness could actually be a strength for them, and vice versa. Again, for an individual who has been told his whole life that he's slow. Imagine the stress and the story that this person has told himself and what everyone else has also told them, and that becomes a belief after that. And this kind of awareness is so important because people have to realize how to look at their strengths, how they can really leverage them.
Totally. I think, see, one word is always, as you said, compassion. Even if you don't know about personality, psychometrics, all of those things, start with compassion. Looking at that person as what that person is, looking at that person as a person rather than all those qualities. Then, this is one of the reasons why in any intervention, I am someone who recommends, these personality assessments for a person or for a group of people as well, so that you may not be an expert, you don't come from that background, but for yourself and for others that work with you or live with you in a relationship, please, do this, and so that you understand, this is where I'm falling in. Very, very simple example. Let's take out all the theories. Look at some people are more about action, some people are more about thinking. You need both of these people, whether it is in a relationship, in a family, or at school, or at work. You don't only need thinkers, that's going to be a problem. You also don't need a lot of action oriented people because you need somebody to think and act as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Gokul, on that. Yeah, I realize that the compassion that I have now, because of this understanding, the way I respond to people and situations is quite different, and that also gives them the space and the time to also really bring out the best in them. And we actually kill that at a very nascent stage just by our judgment. So I'm really happy that we touched upon this. Uh, can you describe, would you have an example, as to how one can really utilize, um, your abilities to achieve a goal to the best of, keeping all of this in perspective? Would you have any kind of example?
I think personally, something when you're good at something, you're bad at something. I mean that balance always is already there, right, for everybody. I have a problem, and I do have a blessing in disguise as well. See, because I don't get stressed very easily as a person. Uh, Even when something is about to happen, so that stress response is pretty slow, I would say. And sometimes that's a problem because you can be go a little easy on things. But on the other side, um, I can come in and when there is I love bringing results out of problems.
Mm.
So personally, this thing about me has always helped me when it comes to problems, where most others may have trouble when they see a lot of things falling down. I have managed to go in and do this as well. And I have a lot of people or friends around me whom I have observed, and they're on that one single strength. They know it, which is the beauty. So self-awareness is always, I think, whatever endeavor you take. I mean, let's talk about getting unstuck. Whatever
Right.
endeavor that you take, you're about to write a book. I mean, if anyone is taking any kind of such a book, you're writing a book, or you're writing, you want to publish content, or you want to be a musician, or you want to apply for jobs, whatever it is, whatever personal project or an endeavor that you take, always start with self-awareness. What do you know about yourself? And if and do not think that it would only come from inside. That is a reason, that is a time when you ask for feedback from others. That is a time when you spend some time with these assessments as well. That it will scientifically assess you and tell you this is what you are. You look at it and look at what has happened in the past. Is this assessment telling you something about what has happened, not worked in the past? If yes, adjust accordingly. Is this assessment telling you about that strength that is going to help you in taking this endeavor of writing a book or making a movie or whatever it is? So yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. And a very prominent question that people have is this the way they call it a problem with procrastination. So, it's looked at very negatively, but I'm sure that it's a lot more deeper than just what we see it at the surface. What really triggers off procrastination? Because people don't really understand. For example, I'll just give you a small example. There is somebody I know who has every reason to know why they should do something. They know they have to do it. There is no other choice but to do it. But they postpone it and postpone it. And recently I got a call from them saying, I know I have to do it. I'm sitting down, I'm trying to do it, but I'm not able to. So there is something that is way, way deeper, from the inside that people need to be aware of. Why does this happen, Gokul?
That's an interesting question. That's also a big question, $1 billion question as well, because it's vast if you look at it. The areas, as you rightly said, the word procrastination is everywhere. It is everywhere. A lot of people, we'll all fall prey for it as well. But the thing is, let's start with procrastination. Let's build on some of the reasons. Let's also hit motivation as well. The particular example that you mentioned, and please feel free to cut in, double click on some of the things that you think is more valuable if I go. Uh, First things first, a reason for procrastination could be anything, starting as small as negative self-image that I have about myself, lack of skills in that area. Say, for example, if you are putting me to a task where it's extremely difficult for me, I'm not there yet, I'm not proficient there at all, so I need more knowledge to. That could be a reason. Emotional or psychological reasons, as say anxiety, depression, that can happen, wherein there is underlying borderline issues of that, which is in turn, making you procrastinate things as well. So emotional reasons, psychological reasons. Sometimes the diversity of our brain is one. So, for example, if you are neurodiverse and you have ADHD, then you can put off things a lot of time, wherein you uh, you have trouble focusing on task. You have trouble sustaining your attention. So you just simply, what is easier for you is to simply move away from the task. So there are all these reasons. And also, of course, where am I from? What is my back? I mean, as coaches, we often talk about the future, but I have to talk about the other world, which I come from as well. Because sometimes also a trauma response of, this issue that is building up as a person. So these are broadly the reasons. And if I go back to that example that you mentioned, when this is a common scenario, this is a belief that I have as well. And from moving from that field to this field and meeting people, talking to people, most of the time, people know what they want to do. They know exactly what are the next 10 steps that will take you to where you want to go. It is not like most people are confused and they are, they don't know anything about what is next step. Most people I know, they very clearly know what the 10 steps. They can literally give you a flow chart on how to get there. The problem is they don't find enough motivation. They don't find enough systems to take their action one by one to reach 10. If you talk to 1,000 people, most of them would have a plan on getting from this level to this level. They very clearly know. But action does not happen. Then, in that case, we look at why is it not happening? What is the reason? Sometimes, and again, broadly I'm touching it, sometimes it's a matter of the environment, very environment that I'm in. In an example, if I'm working from home and I have a long work day and I want to eat healthy, just an example, and I want to work out as well. But every day I think about it, every day I can dream about it, every night I can think, oh my God, I didn't do it. But the question to ask is, how is my environment supporting this activity? Say, for example, if I have to work out for 15 minutes, how is this environment of where I am currently supporting? Then I look at it, not really, right? I mean, workspace to bed is not very far. To the living room is not very far. To the TV is not very far. I mean, it is all in a comfortable space. And after work, my willpower is not very high as well. After a long day of work, I can just simply say yes to my, these things that come, which is even more attractive, like, taking rest, eating junk food, or eating more sometimes, all of these things. So first thing first, how the environment is supporting. I'll come back and talk about how can you do that as well. Or you can ask me, okay, you've mentioned enough about problems. Now tell me solutions we can talk about. That is one. The other thing is the motivation that I have. See, what am I talking about to myself? If I say, there is this, again, this is not from me. This is wonderful book called Get It Done by this, again, wonderful psychologist called Alan Fishback, who is an expert in science of motivation as well. So, interesting study that has happened was they have asked, a group of researchers have asked students about a gift that they want to buy. So, it is a signed copy from a very prominent economist, signed copy of a book. And they were all supposed to bid. Okay. People started bidding in the average, I don't know whether the figure is right, I don't very clearly remember, but it is around 20, 23 rupees. Sorry, dollars is when people bid that book for. Then the second experiment, they've asked these people, they put that book into a bag, the same book of same value into a bag and said, now you bid this. Let's auction this book, the bag with the book. So if you look at it, and definitely you would expect more for that, right? There are two things. But what happened is the average bid was around $12, or it didn't go up. So then there was confusion. What happened? Because people looked at that bag as only a means of carrying that book. It does not have much value in itself. So because book is what people want, that's a goal. So if you look at the book, it is a goal. The bag is the means to it. So say for example, if let's say I want to I think in the book it's talking about job example. Finding a new job is my goal. That is what I want to achieve. But I want to apply for jobs. It's chores. It is just a task. It's just an activity. So if I focus a lot on that side, it is boring. It does not sound exciting to me. So what she says is you may want to think about what is more exciting for you, which is finding a new job, finding a wonderful career. So I should talk to myself. I should remind myself about finding a job rather than applying for jobs. Because it is not exciting to me. So motivation can also come from this as well. Understanding what are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself to about a chore daily that you want to be doing, or are you telling yourself about that good purpose that you have? Say, for example, I want to I have to work out every day versus I want to improve my overall well-being. I want to improve my physical well-being. Okay, that counts. Again, doesn't stop. Which is I've talked about environment, I've talked about motivation, and also think motivation is different for different people. We spoke about personality, which means there are individual differences. We're all different in our own ways. Sometimes I get motivated for one stuff, you get motivated for different stuffs. I'll say one more thing and stop. Then we can talk about solutions, which is I should also have systems and habits that will support me and take care. If I look at that day, see the example of somebody wanting to work out, in that day, there is no structured space that push, that nudge for you to do it, and there is no structured space. But for all the other unhealthy things that you want to do, you will manage to do. But for this thing, you don't have. So, do you have a habit? Do you want to build a habit around it? Do you have a system to build that habit around it? So, these things, if you look at it, it's very interesting, right? For all the unhealthy things that you want to do, it is easy. For all the healthy things that you want to do, it is not easy. So you want to put that effort towards. And the problem, which is also very simple, for all the unhealthy things, the reward is easier and faster. You want to eat something, a sudden hit of dopamine, that sweet that you want to enjoy. If you watch a movie again, that feeling of relaxed, this thing. But if you're finding a better job, it's about a lot of work as well. So delayed rewards. So you want to be working around for that. So that's all. I mean, long answer, but I think I've touched upon some of these things. Please feel free to double click.
Yes, no, you have perfectly answered that question. Because we started with procrastination, and then we moved on to motivation, and then we moved on to actually building habits. And I think daily routines is something that is also overlooked when it comes down to our connection with that knowing and the doing, that gap that is there that we need to bridge. Habits is something that really propel us in the direction of getting started. So that starting trouble is there. I know a lot of people say that starting trouble is there. So do you have anything to say about this starting trouble?
I usually have. In the past, we used to do those habit workshops. It used to be very interesting. And what we used to do is we should teach people the psychology of habits, types of habits, in 21 days. And we also force people to do something in 15 minutes. I think everyone would have read all this, best of best habit-related books, and they know a lot about habits. So if I take something from all of this, one thing is start very, very, very small. If let's not bore people with a lot of theory. If you look at this way, I want to start. This is my favorite example. I want to start reading, which most people want to. I want to start a reading habit, or I want to restart my reading habit. Naturally, if you look at this example, people would, okay, today I'm going to be a good girl or a good boy, and I'm just going to take up that book and read for 10, 15 minutes, and then the next day and the next day. Then what happens? Motivation is such a thing, right? I mean, it is like taking bath. You need it every day. Someday it goes down and your reading habit subsides and naturally dies. Instead, what you want to be doing is fix a time. Say, for example, 9 p.m. I'm just giving an example. Whatever is a comfortable time for you. So first things, it only start with time. We're not talking about habit yet. Fix that comfortable time and make it every day. One. Then that activity that you want to do, only do it for 2 minutes. Not beyond that. So then most people would ask, I can't read a book for 2 minutes. It doesn't make sense. Then the question that I would be asking them is, do you want to read 10 pages for 7 days and stop? Or do you want to read 2 pages for 10 days and slowly build a habit? Then people would say, okay, and why is that? And then I'll tell them, say, consider your brain as a person. And you're asking that brain, go read 10, 15 pages a day. Or you're asking that brain, go do 25 push-ups to start with. The brain is like, not doing that, come on. You're giving a shock to your brain. Instead, you're slowly, helping your brain without shocking the brain to explore and see very, very slowly. Then the brain is like, okay, this is part of my day. It is okay. It doesn't hurt much. It is okay for Gokul's body to do this as well. And then we slowly start. Similarly for workout, if you want to work out for 2 to 5 minutes a day. Don't do more than that. And then you slowly start building that habit every day at 7 a.m. or 9 p.m. That is when this happens. So to answer your question, start small, fix a time, do it only for 2 minutes for just like 2 to 3 weeks. And do not worry about results, please. This is not about results yet. It is about that habit. I have one more thing, if I can. It is called implementation intention. It's a wonderful tool. It is as simple as in this situation, I will do this. It is as simple as I would, after my dinner, I'll go for a 5 minute walk. So it is about what you will do and when you will do it and how you do it. So this is, again, if you talk about the example and the research, again, for this is also a good study with a few people, with about 200 plus people wherein they were studied. One group were asked to measure the workout times and the impact of it. The second group were shown a presentation on the impact and the benefits of working out every day, and they were asked to go work out as well. Third group, similar presentation, and asked one more thing, which is how and when are you going to work out every day? They said, I will, after my work out at 5 p.m. in the local gym. Some people said, every day, after having my morning, coffee, I'll just go work out. They wrote it very clearly, implementation intention. How am I going to implement this? That intent, I wrote it. And if you look at the results, first two group, 20 to 30% of them managed. But for the other group, a very soaring high 90% of the people managed to continue the habit. So implementation intention, in very simple example, in reading example, I will read 5 pages after my dinner at 9 p.m. So you have clarity, you are putting a space into your schedule for that. And this is not just individuals or teams. We have done this in public policy, in all the behavioral interventions that we have done. We wanted people to do something. Then we wanted people to take action. So it is such a wonderful tool. You could also say every day, or if I eat an unhealthy meal in a day, that day I will buy more veggies. Simple. Okay, so that is two tools.
Wow, very, very nicely explained, actually. You put a lot of light on that, and very simple strategies, but I think they're very powerful. I also wanted to check with you. Some people, when they've gone through trauma, they have this negative self-belief. How do you think as a neuroscientist you would approach something like that? And how do you think you could connect that to procrastination?
Yeah, very good question. I think. Yeah, I wouldn't go by neuroscientist. I can say behavioral. But yeah, but the thing is, trauma can impact you in many different ways. It can manifest in different ways in different individuals. First of all, that is very important. The way one person would get impacted with trauma, say childhood trauma or traumatic incident, is completely different from somebody else. But if we go in a generic route, first things first, if you look at trauma, a lot of things can happen to me. Like starting with my relationship. What is my relationship style like? Is it a secure style? Mostly it is an avoidant or dismissal kind of a relationship style that I may have. I may also have very low self-esteem. I may have, passiveness or passivity, wherein I know what I want to be doing, but I don't do it because I'm stuck in that. Again, as I said, it's a very very specific person to person thing. If you just look at the example of somebody with childhood trauma, with very strict or tough parents or something like that, in that example, it would manifest as a lot of things in relationship. And if you look at this passivity example, people would, they know what they want to do. It is not doing and not wanting to do as well. So one thing that also happens is over the years you've built a false self. And it starts from childhood. Say, for example, if I'm reprimanded, if I'm punished for a lot of things that I am, I would slowly start masking. I would slowly start building a false self of myself. I'll build it out over years and I'll not come out of it. So first things first, if like I have said about assessments in the case of personality, I would recommend that you talk to somebody who is specialized in the area of trauma, if it is childhood trauma or trauma. Look at what is being the reason. What happened during that time and how it manifested for you. And slowly, understand that the self-awareness part comes in and then come out of it. Otherwise, if you're preparing for it, then as a person, what you can do right now is observe. And this brilliant tool called writing, than typing. Whenever you really feel that you want to be doing something, you write down why do you want to do it? when you have hit that high motivation levels. And like, let's assume somebody has tried doing all the things that we mentioned in the last section. And when they are not able to do it by the end of the day, write what happened and express all the things that comes to your mind. Why didn't I do this activity from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.? And don't worry, don't think a lot about it. I'm not able to do it, not able to do it. But continue this writing and ask somebody to inspire them to write. And in a few days' time, in a week or two, you will have two things. You will have data to look at when you're high motivation. What were you writing? Why am I doing this? You have a strong purpose. You will see that statement emerging out of all these days. You will also see what are your thoughts after not being able to do it. You'll also see what are your reasons according to you. Then it is different in different days. That is what the reason why I'm saying write for a period of time. Then you look at that and see how much of this is true. Okay, this is motivation in the moment. How can I solve for it? You self-coach yourself. How can I solve for that? Then after some time, you realize, okay, no, not really. It's not about the time, or it's not about blocking time. It is really having that taking to do it. So then the question is, how do you feel emotionally and in your body when you force yourself to do it? I would be interested in that as well. Because sometimes it is not just about blocking time. Everything is not just about blocking time, right? Sometimes it's deep emotionally as well. And we have mentioned neurodiversity as well, if that could be a reason. Is that a reason? Then you want to be writing, what am I feeling in the moment? I'm just giving an example. And if I write that, okay, my attention is going away. I'm getting too bored in the activity. So in that notes, someone can really help you. Then a professional can help you. Oh, okay. Sounds like ADHD. You may want to be doing an assessment for that. Or they could say, oh, not really an ADHD, but something even more deeper. Is that something related to trauma? Then you have all this information about feelings and the feelings, thoughts, and what is happening in the body. So I would start with writing down before and after. Then I would focus more on what is feeling in that moment that you're not able to do that. That's it.
Right. I couldn't agree with you more because there are all these mindset funders like, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this will happen. And then you keep like covering it up and another layer and another layer and another layer and another layer. And people still don't understand as to, I know all of this. I'm doing everything the right way, yet I'm not able to do it. Why? So I think you touched upon a topic that was really quite deep, that you really need to go back to the core of where it all began. Because people do a lot of things on the superficial level because people are telling them to do it, but the core of them is not sorted. It's deep down and they don't understand why it's not happening. So I think that was very powerful what you said. And I'm sure a lot of people will find breakthroughs, if I can say so, actually breakthroughs.
Yes.
Because I've seen people tell me that, they will do, even if they're procrastinating, it's only for themselves. They will do it for somebody else. They will not delay it if it is somebody else. But if it is for themselves, why am I delaying it?
I like how you said that one. If I may, there are two very unpopular opinions that I have as well. One is nothing against these two things. Even I do follow or I do bring as well. One is you can't do a lot of motivation speaking and get people out of their problems. Or very simply put, you can't motivation speak people out of their problem because not all of them. Some of them, of course, need. If you have 100 people in a hall, some of them definitely need motivation. Them. Maybe for the other 40%, their problems are much deeper and much different. It is related to personality, behavior, it is related to situation, their environment, their attitude, aptitude, a lot of other things. That is one. On the other side, another unpopular opinion is if somebody comes and reaches out, I mean, coaches wouldn't do that, but any professional who would do that, suggest a self-help book, it is for knowledge, of course, wonderful. I do have a large collection of any such books. I do not belittle any kind of books or any set of books. I read a lot of self-help books, by the way. But people reach out for help when they can't self-help. So theory is not going to solve their problems in the moment. They want real action. They want somebody to look at them. I mean, that's what we do in coaching, right? Sometimes I think initially I had a big problem of psychology disturbing my coaching. Then I realized, okay, it is informing the coaching to a great extent where you can see people and look at what is happening to them. So yeah, that is one thing. And what you said last makes a lot of sense. If you look at anybody, they can give advice to 100 people. I'm not saying advice, they can consult people, really provide value for them. This same set of examples, say, for example, someone can help people really with building a personal brand. But when it comes to my problem, I'm like, okay, I just go on. So what is working there is my need for helping people is really working for me. And my expertise is also working for me, but I'm not taking the same effort. So sometimes I tell people, I've spoken to a lot of people with the similar problems. Sometimes I tell people that step out of your problem, you act as a performance consultant or a coach for yourself. Step away. What would you tell this person? This is the person, write the persona of the person in all this detail. Step away. If this person reaches out to you, what would you tell this person? What are the 3 action items for them? And it works like magic most of the time because we're talking to experts. Yeah, but very, very valid.
Thank you. That put a lot of light on that, actually. So I'm going to come back to this number you mentioned a little while back. You said 21 days. So what is that 21 days and why?
Okay, so it's a big debatable number of days, right? So I'm very well aware that does it take 21 days to build a habit? Not really, not for everyone. Okay, because we are in that topic of how different we are. Not for everyone, not for every habit. Sometimes it is, there are many studies, sometimes it is 66 days, sometimes it's 200 days. Totally depends upon who you are and what are you trying to do. So let's take it out of it. But it has been an old practice. And if you want to put a date to it, I would say start with 20. Don't think about 66 and 200. Don't think a lot about whether it is right or the science behind. Leave it to professionals. They will worry about it. You want to be starting something, the least thing that you want to be worried about is whether it is 21 days or 66 days. You just start something, put 21 days, which is sounds like a good AC plan, and then go around it. And as we often say, it is not just a problem of blocking time, it is building that environment for you, internally and externally.
And also making yourself a priority.
Absolutely. That is why the atomic habits always reminds you, right? It is you should have identity-based habits. It should work and appeal to your identity. Please go ahead.
Like you also spoke about stacking habits. That would be interesting.
It's a very interesting one. Something which is very easy, worked for me like magic. Habit stacking is nothing but. Let's assume you failed in everything that you try to build up. And the example is, in my case, I'll say that. In my case, I like listening to podcasts. I like watching videos. And I am curious about a lot of stuff. So I want to acquire knowledge. But time can be a big constraint. So when I was searching for it, I literally don't have, I don't binge watch anything because sometimes I think I don't have the time. And sometimes I think, okay, this is the time worth binge watching than doing other things. I have that problem. So I've observed that I walk a lot. I walk after a meal, I walk at night. Even if I go somewhere, I travel, I travel. And even when I go somewhere, I still walk. So then I realized, okay, this is the best time possibly to stack this habit. So look for the habit that you're already doing in your routine. Look at your routine, find all those things that you're doing regularly. That is one step. Second step is look at the habit that you want to build. See, I'm not saying that everywhere it will work. See if you can stack this habit that you want to build on top of the habit that you're already doing. So to me, it is stacking listening to podcast to my walking habit. Worked really well. If somebody has a habit of in an evening or morning sitting with a cup of tea or coffee, that is a time that we would definitely spend. Most people, at least where we are. Can you read at that point of time? Or if you're somebody who complain, I don't have time to watch all those YouTube videos that I want to watch. Can you watch it then? Can you stack them together? Do you have a treadmill at home and do you use that? Most people don't. But if you use that treadmill and you want to be catching up with all the shows and the news on TV, can you do them together? Stack. So think about what is in your routine on a day-to-day basis. Stack that with what you want. So that is that stack.
I want to share one small story when something that I did
Okay.
yesterday. Okay.
Yes, please.
I got inspired by what you told me, that conversation we had the other day about, this habit stacking. And so there was this pile of clothes that I had to get rid of. It was like, poking me in the eye every time I looked at it because it had to be ironed and I did not want to get to it. So I actually did that. I actually put on a podcast and I focused on the podcast and then I ironed. And before I knew it, I had actually finished all of it. And I wanted to mention this to you that it just works so superbly. I hate ironing and I had no choice but to do it. But that really did help.
Yes. So you're optimizing your time and resources. Yes, wonderful. Good to know.
So, Gokul, we're almost at the top of our time, and I can't tell you what a pleasure it has been talking to you. How insightful each and everything that you said is. A lot of what we spoke about is something that I myself would like to implement for myself, and I will let you know how it went.
Yes, please.
But I know that you have a very, very busy schedule and you made time for this. And I'm extremely grateful to you for making this time and speaking to me, regarding this topic that's really like a lot of people have been asking about.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me. As I told you at the start, I mean, this topic and theme of your podcast, getting people to unstuck in life is very, very interesting to me as well. So, and first of all, and most importantly, thank you for coming up with very interesting topics and questions that would help many other people when they find time to listen. So, yeah, as always, wonderful talking to you. Very good conversation. I'm glad a lot of things emerged out of our conversation today.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm extremely passionate about getting people unstuck. And this is what this entire podcast is about. And people like you come onto this podcast and give us so many strategies and tools to be able to get unstuck, because people end up deciding that that is how they were supposed to just be without really understanding that there is so much out there that can really help them, you know. So if they could, like, use these things, just imagine, I believe that uh, they really will change their destiny. And this is what this podcast is all about. It's really taking these tools and designing your destiny. Thank you so much, Gokul. Really appreciate the time that you've given us today.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for inviting me once again. You have a wonderful evening ahead. Bye.
Thank you. All right, bye. So this is Nasira, the energy architect. I was with Gokul just now. I'm going to be signing off now with all of these strategies and notes that we've just got from Gokul, and I'd love to hear from you all as to what you'll think about what we discussed about today. If you all have any questions, I will be leaving Gokul's contact details. Maybe you could reach out to him, you could reach out to me, and let's see what we can do. We can design our futures, our lives. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.